Welcome to Storytime with Tallulah. Today's reading comes from r/PettyRevenge. Our first story is titled, I'm Sorry, Who Are You? Context, I, a 20-year-old female, have been bullied all my life and have been in recovery for a multitude of things for the past year or so. I go to university in the same city I grew up in, so there's a high chance of me coming across people who went to previous schools or who hurt/bullied me. I was well known for being bad-tempered and easy to wind up when I was younger. What happened? I was in the pharmacy waiting to pick up my prescription when someone shouted something at me. I pretended to not hear them and they shouted again. They ended up getting frustrated and tugging on my arm. I twisted around and immediately recognized who it was, a guy, 20-year-old male, who had bullied me for over 10 years. So rather than get angry, I thought I would mess with him and see what happens. Him, hi, heard you were in local uni. Me, I'm sorry, but I don't know who you are. Do I know you from somewhere? Immediately, he deflated. It was glorious to see. I had to stop myself from smiling. Him, it's me, his name, from school. Come on, you know me. Me with a confused face acting 100. I'm really sorry, but I don't know you. Dude, we go swimming together perhaps? Him, no, I don't think so. Me, I'm really sorry, but I just don't know who you are. I think you should go to the back of the line, sir. I went on my phone and just blocked him out. He looked lost and eventually went to the back of the line. I got my prescription, ignored him, and went to my car and drove off. I literally screamed for joy, and also because I was about to break down. It was a wonderful feeling to see him like that and to feel like he had nothing against me, to make him feel like he hadn't had a large effect on my life. Edit. I'm amazed so many people have read this, seeing as I wrote this in 5 minutes in an ASDA car park. To the people who think he was about to be nice or that I bullied him, I have to disagree. He was never nice to me and would love to pretend to be nice and then pull the rug. Nothing I could do would be half as worse as what he's done to me. I don't owe him anything. Hi, again, edit. Thank you all for the love and awards. It means a lot. And I just want to clarify that he didn't shout my name but said, "Oi, Ginger," and that he was probably gonna make fun of the fact that I'm going to the local uni and not a better one. You know, I don't even think that's petty. I feel like if someone bullied you for a decade and then they're trying to cut in line and they start with the "Hey, Ginger" thing, I don't know. I don't even think that's petty. I feel like it's warranted. It's totally like, who cares? Yeah, act like you don't know the guy. How is that a bully to act like you don't know somebody because you don't want to interact with them? You didn't like call him a name or anything. You just made it. He felt weird on his own because you acted like you didn't know him. I don't know. I don't think anyone should be giving you crap for that. And I don't think it's petty. I think it's totally justified. You do you. Bullying is not cool. Our next story is titled, Ditch Me? That's fine. I've got other friends. Better friends. This was about 10 years ago, but still makes me smile. At 18, my best friend Vic and I used to go out dancing, drinking most weekends. Coming up to Saturday night, I messaged to ask about plans. She said she didn't want to go out. Fair enough. Or so I thought until I bumped into a mutual friend. Mutual friend asked why I didn't want to go out with her and Vic on Saturday night. I was confused as I wasn't aware we'd fallen out, but it appears Vic had just had a better offer and decided to ditch me. I get home in a proper stop and my older brother's friend was there and asked what was wrong. I explained and 10 minutes later he had gathered around 10 lads to take me out. They all knew the situation and were game for a wind-up. Vic's face when I walked into the bar surrounded by lads fighting over who to buy me drinks was classic. They continued to play by ignoring her in my favor and chasing off any male attention she got. She ended up leaving early and messaged the next day, nice as pie. I should clarify that these boys are like brothers and were purely out to cheer me up. Don't try to tell me boys can't out petty girls. Wow, you got stood up and you went out and had fun. That's funny. And they chased off. That's kind of messed up though. They chased off the people she was interacting with. But hey, you know what? I don't think it's that big of a deal. She blew you off. You went out. You didn't have to go to the same place she was unless that's the only place to go. But I mean, either way, whatever. Your friend sounds like a turd. Oh, hopefully you're friends though. I hope that didn't end everything. Our next story is titled, Payback for My Horrible Roommate. After college, I accepted a job across the country and moved in with a vague acquaintance I had met a couple of times. It quickly became clear that we were not going to get along. He was incredibly rude and condescending, routinely making side remarks about my intelligence since I had been in a sorority in college. He would instruct me on how to redo all my chores in his way, always insinuating that I just wasn't as smart as he was. This led to a few heated arguments and we ended up basically avoiding each other. My room was in the basement and he was on the second floor. Except for going in and out, I stayed in the basement to avoid him. One night, I returned home and my cat was missing. He is a huge fatty and never misses a meal, so I was immediately worried. I texted the roommate to see if he had let him out by mistake. He ignored me. I looked everywhere in my room and in the common areas, no cat. I could hear that he was home, so I texted again, asking if he could please check his room or just let me know if the cat got out by mistake. Again, no response. I couldn't search the neighborhood much after dark since we were in a pretty rough area, so I stayed up all night making flyers and online posts. I called animal control and my parents and broadly had a massive mental breakdown. I figured the most likely scenario was that he had escaped and wandered into the road. Early the next morning, Saturday, I looked all over our neighborhood. Losing hope, I returned back home. Right before I went back down to my half of the house, I heard a faint, distressed yowl. I followed the noise upstairs and realized it was coming from horrible roommate's locked bedroom. I phoned him repeatedly and waited several hours for him to come home, unlock his door, and let my poor cat out of his closet. No explanation was given, and this cat being an OG fatty and also a jerk, there's no way he silently slept all night. Simply put, there was no way this could have been an accident. At this point, we had 1 month left on the lease, and I was able to make arrangements to stay with family for the final month. Interestingly enough, our internet service was in my name. I paid the final month in full and loaded my stuff into a U-Haul. I gleefully unplugged and returned our rented router, and OG fatty cat and I left town a month early. Wouldn't you know it? Later that night, my phone starts blowing up with texts and calls. This man is looking for his missing internet. Somehow I couldn't be bothered to respond. I can't believe you did that to your cat. That's horrible. That's like not cool at all. Like, oh my gosh. Yeah, I'm glad you got out of there. And I don't think it's petty for you to take the internet after that. That guy deserves way worse than that. I mean, the internet is like, okay, he got off easy, you know? Sorry, he's gonna have to use a hotspot now, but locking your cat up like that, that's just not right. People should know. Our next story is titled, My Roommate Stopped Paying Me Utilities, so I got told to come here from a different sub, so here I am. My roommate stopped paying for rent and utilities, so this happened back in my college days. I moved in with a friend from university. She was nice enough, but she definitely had financial issues, which I didn't know about before moving in together. Our apartment complex had assigned separate lease agreements because I guess they had too many situations with one person not paying, which made sense. So I was never liable for her part of the rent. But the utilities had to go in someone's name, and I was the chosen one. Think electricity, cable, internet. Things got a bit rough for her, and she was having trouble paying me for half of the utilities, which I was okay with and just covered it. Until one day, I hear her talking to some friends on the phone about their fancy spring break trip to the Caribbean, Florida. What the F, man? You can't pay me, but you can afford to go on vacation and drive a new car? No bueno. I locked her out of the internet. I'm pretty good with computers and things, so I even kept her boyfriend's phone on the Wi-Fi, but locked her devices out of it, and just played dumb. I even got a new router. She spent hours on the phone with the internet people. She got a new phone, which I allowed to work for a few days and then shut out again. Then comes the TV. Parental supervision is great. I knew all the shows she liked and watched and blacklisted them. I barely watched TV anyway, so I didn't care. At some point, I'm talking to the apartment people and I find out she isn't paying rent either. Again, what the F? Not cool. Even though it's not my problem, I make it my problem. We had sub panels for electricity in each apartment, so I screw with her by randomly turning breakers off and on. She couldn't understand why her hair dryer would work one day and not the next. I'd just flick a breaker while she was showering. I convinced her that maybe her dryer was too strong for the electrical in the apartment and it was tripping. So she bought a fancy new hair dryer. She was actually an idiot and bought one that had a higher electrical draw than the first. So I explained that to her and she bought a third one. I kept this crap up until the day we moved out. I never saw a cent from her, but man, it was worth it. ETA from the other comments on the sub, yes, I did talk to her prior to being controlling. She continually could not pay me, but would come home with high-end clothes or bags, expensive food, and makeup. Yeah, I don't know, like, when I first read it, I was like, dang, it's kind of psychotic that you would do all that stuff to her. Like, I get that she didn't have the rent and she wasn't paying you, but I feel like that warranted a conversation. But it sounds like you said you did talk to her. I don't know. It seems a bit excessive to like really torment somebody like that. And yeah, I don't know. That seems a bit over the top. That's beyond petty. That's a borderline abusive, if not fully abusive at that point. But I mean, they should pay you. It's not fair that they didn't pay. I'm not letting them off with that. Obviously, if they had the money for all this fun luxury stuff, but they didn't have the money to pay, that's just financially irresponsible. But I don't know. I feel like it could have been handled differently. But I mean, oh well. I guess guess no one really got hurt, but I don't know. That just seems a bit excessive to me. Our next story is titled, Girls in Middle School Thought That I Did Not Know Spanish Just Because of My Appearance. Background. I am Hispanic, born in the US, but my appearance made me look like I'm an Asian because I have squinted eyes from my dad's side and I speak two languages, Spanish and English. So it was the end of my fourth period, and after that period, I go to lunch. So as I am going towards the lunch line, I meet up with some of my friends and go to the lunch line together, and while in line, we began talking about video games and such, and as we talk, a group of girls that were behind us waiting in line thought that no one can understand their secret language, which was just Spanish, but I think nothing much of it until they start talking bad about other people in the lunchroom. Like for example, look at that kid, he looks like a dog, and such, which gets my attention for a bit and ignore them. As soon as I started to mind my own business with my friends, they started to talk about me and saying that I look so ugly and other swear words in Spanish, which really upset me off. As soon as they were about to say more about my appearance, I say in Spanish, loud enough so that they can hear, imagine calling people ugly even though they look worse. My friends knew what was going on, and at that point, because they understood Spanish also, so they started laughing and saying things like, that's so true, at the girls. Those girls turned pale after they realized that we understand their language as well and left the lunchroom. It was the best feeling ever because they got what they deserved and they learned their lesson after that. That's funny. I've experienced some not Spanish, but something different, and it's always a good feeling when you're able to pull that off. They're just so shocked, like, it's like, yeah, learn your lesson. Quit being a poo-poo head. Well, that's it for today. Thank you for tuning in. If you enjoyed this video, please like it. If you enjoy these types of videos, please consider subscribing to the channel and hit that bell for notifications so you know when more videos come out. If you'd like to join our Discord, we have an amazing community filled with awesome people. The link for that's in the description below. You'll also find the links to all of my other social media accounts if you would like to follow me on different places of the internet. Hope you all are staying safe out there. And with that being said, we'll see you next time.